give an introduction as to why we're here. Then we'll make sure that we acknowledge all the dignitaries that's on the stage. After that, and the chairman kind of provide some remarks. He'll pivot to Deputy Chief Morrison to kind of talk about emergency management and where we've been in that process. Then we'll pivot to our General Manager, Bernard Franks, on what the status is on the water issue. And then, did you want to say anything? Yeah.
No, we're going to put out another press release based on the information given out of this.
Not a problem. And then we do a Q&A, see if the media have any questions, and we anticipate there being questions around that. So that's where we stand with the runner show. All right. Y'all bear with us. Give us about 3 minutes. We're waiting on a couple of commissioners to come in. Susan, y'all good? All right. First of all, good morning, everyone. We'd like to thank our media partners for coming out this morning. We thought it would be important and to give everybody an update as where the county stands as it pertains to dealing with our water issues and just talking about our service that we've been providing to our community over the last couple of days. So again, behind me, we have a lot of our civic and public partners and our dignitaries from the school system, from our water authority, from our board of commissioners, and of course some of our user departments are in space as well. And again, we just want to give you an opportunity to give you an update as to the status of a lot of the work that we put in over the last couple of days, and more importantly, answer any questions that the media may have with regard to what the process that the Clayton County government as well as our thought partners are in, and the things that we're doing to ensure that we address the needs of our respected citizens. So with that, I'd like to yield the microphone to the chairman of Clayton County Government, Board of Commissioners, Chairman Jeffrey E. Turner.
Good morning, and as the COO stated, it's definitely a pleasure to have you here with us, because so many times we address concerns about the community and it's not always from our perspective. So to be able to hold this press conference this morning and let you know our efforts that went into this past week that, as we all know, was a week that was very trying and troubling on our citizens as well as our personnel here in Clayton County. But let me say this, as chairman of Clayton County, I am very, very proud of the efforts that went into taking care of our citizens this past week. We rallied together and collaborated with our non-organizations, our non-profit organizations, as well as our school system and other governmental entities. I'm proud of the way that we were able to reach out and call our Clayton County Public School System. Madam Chair and Goree and Dr. Smith with the Clayton County School System answered that call. They worked with the Clayton County government to open up a warming center. And through efforts of not only our governmental entities, but our citizens, we've had 2 citizens, and Drew Andrews as well as Regina Deloach, who coordinated our volunteer efforts to make sure that we properly manned and staffed our warming station. And that's important because as this temperatures dropped, our homeless population needed somewhere to go, or anybody who lost heat or needed shelter and food was able to go to this warming center at the Sequoia Middle School in Riverdale. It's about taking care of our citizens. It's about making sure we address their needs, not only address their needs, but address it appropriately. And then after the frigid cold came in, water lines started to burst. And that was another nightmare here in Clayton County, not only in Clayton County, but throughout the Metro Atlanta area. Calls went in to the Clayton County Water Authority. Mr. Bernard Franks and his staff immediately jumped on it. With the numerous busted water mains throughout this county, they did a tremendous job. And he's here and he's going to speak on as to what their efforts were to make sure that we got those lines back operating, and those citizens who were in dire need of water to make sure that those lines were operating once again. Then the fire department jumped in, and the police department, and you can imagine the number of calls that went out during this time. They did, as they always do, a tremendous job answering those calls and taking care of our citizens. The fire department organized efforts to make sure that our citizens receive bottled water as well as other needs throughout this trying time. But again, what I'm telling you is that Clayton County rose to the occasion to assist and address the needs of our Clayton County citizens. And as chairman of this county, I'm proud of our efforts. The Clayton County Board of Commissioners did everything that we could to make sure that those needs were addressed. And at this time, I'm going to turn the mic over to Deputy Chief Ryan Morrison with the Clayton County Fire Department to talk about some of those efforts that the fire department, as well as those who collaborated with us, poured into the effort to take care of our community. Mr. Morrison.
Hey, good morning, everyone. I'm Ryan Morrison. I'm the Deputy Chief for the Clayton County Fire and Emergency Services, as well as the Director for the Office of Emergency Management. So, as you all know, that we're currently under a state of emergency for our county. This decision was made on Monday. Prior to the event, we kind of knew some things were going to be in place, and we really thank the Clayton County Board of Education for opening up the warming center for our citizens. From the emergency management standpoint, we assembled approximately 120 cots to utilize in the facility, and we helped with some of the distribution and moving some of the other resources for that facility. Volunteers over there did a tremendous job. So once Monday rolled around, we had a lot of our preliminary reports from all of our public safety personnel. Just to give you a perspective, 1,200 calls ranged from that Saturday till yesterday, till Wednesday. So 1,200 calls for our fire and emergency services. 481 of those calls were all related to water, which averages about 96 or so per day. So obviously it's unprecedented for us. Our typical call range usually goes from 150 to 180 calls. We were running over 200 calls easily, 250 calls. We activated the EOC early on, and we got in touch with the Clayton County Water Authority, and we were in constant communication through that time, early morning, all throughout the day. And we've been working long hours, as you can expect with every type of emergency declaration. We wanted to make sure we got to the citizens early on. So we partnered with them, and we were able to open up some of our fire stations for water distribution. We've done that for the past 3 days. Later on Monday, all throughout Tuesday, and yesterday as well. I do have some numbers for you, just approximate numbers of how much water was delivered during this time. 193 pallets, 9,650 cases, and the average is about 386,000 individual bottles of water. And thanks to Clayton County Water Authority's team really helping out, they purchased the water for us, and we were able to get that pretty smoothly. So we did a tremendous job on that. During this time, we always do a needs assessment. So over the weekend, early part of Monday, we wanted to make sure that with all of our healthcare facilities, Southern Regional, all of your nursing, assisted home facilities, we wanted to make sure that they were okay. We were reaching out to them individually just to making sure that they have running water, and if they didn't, what was the pressure looking like over there. And we kept in communication with them and communicated that with the Water Authority as well. And obviously, we reach out to all of our fire departments around this region just to see where we can share resources when needed. That's always a must during cold weather, because you really never know if a pipe busts and things like that. So they did a tremendous job as far as that goes. And I think I definitely wanted to thank the Clayton County Sheriff's Office as well. They provided security for those water distribution sites. We couldn't do it without all of the support from all of our governmental agencies. It's tremendous, and we're also looking at just other things as they roll in. If there's any types of needs, we're communicating with the Georgia Emergency Management Agency as well. So we've been steady through this whole entire process, and we'll continue to work until we get all these issues resolved as best as we can and keep that resiliency level up. Thank you. I yield the floor to Director Frank.
So we'd like to thank Deputy Chief for giving us an update. Before we move on and yield the microphone to our General Manager of the Water Authority, I also wanted to acknowledge some other dignitaries that's on the stage. We also have from the Board of Education, Ms. Hill and Mr. Christmas with us as well. We also have our Superintendent of Schools, Dr. Anthony Smith, also our Chief of Police, Kevin Roberts. We also have Chief Richards from the Fire and Emergency Agency as well. And of course, last but not least, I certainly want to acknowledge the Board of Commissioners that are also present here. Dr. Commissioner Alika Anderson, as well as Commissioner DeMont Davis. So with that, we'd like to yield the microphone to our General Manager of Water Authority, Mr. Bernard Franks.
Good morning. Sure, I'm the star of the show. No. Yeah, well, I'll be. It is my privilege to actually stand before you this morning, even though the circumstances throughout these few days have been pretty significant for our community and for our customers. We always hold ourselves accountable no matter what, and in this case it was something that was completely out of our control. 4 days of below freezing temperatures all day. So this helps us to see the magnitude and the significance of what it can do to our system, but let alone our customers. Right along with a holiday, and I must say my team has not had a holiday. And many of you as our customers, even though we're not personally accountable, we apologize. We're sorry for what you've experienced during your holiday and the magnitude of what it's meant for you and your family. We have heard and I have seen everything on Facebook. And I take that stuff personal because I'm not only a part of the Water Authority, I'm a customer, I'm part of the community. Been here all of my life. So these things touch me in a personal way. And I'm so thankful for the unity and the combination that we have together as a team with the members of Clayton County that stand behind me. This is a united effort to take care of our customer and community. And Chief Morrison, Lieutenant Morrison, spoke about what we've been doing in the community when it comes to bottled water. Seeing the news and seeing the things that are happening hits us in a personal way, but I'm here to tell you, and I'm very happy to say that things have improved so significantly now that at this point we believe, based on our information, that most, if not all, of our customers have water service. Yes, the pressure will be a little lower right now, but it's continuing to increase as we speak. We're finally getting a little bit of praise on Facebook. You can go from friend to enemy very quickly, or enemy to friend. So I'm thankful because there's a need. This really shows the value of water. This is not the way that we want to emphasize the value of water, but it really paralyzed our community and those beyond You heard us speak a little bit about, I call it One Water because we are united with several other utilities and we depend on each other. In a circumstance like this, we were all looking to support each other during this time, but we can't help someone when we can't help ourselves, right? So everyone has been in that spot, and we're looking for opportunities now to continue to help. We're doing things now that have improved in our system that now can allow us even to help others as we continue to help and serve our community. Just statistically speaking, similar to some of the statistics you've heard before, we received over 6,000 calls in which, when it comes to water, to some degree, it's an emergency. Now, in most cases during this holiday, we had a lot of folks that were not home. A lot of businesses where no one were in those businesses. So when this freeze snap happened, throughout our whole community, there were leaks coming out of people's homes, out of the apartments, with no one there to turn them off. So you can imagine the impact on our system. Fire lines throughout this whole county, large fire lines, 10-inch, 8-inch, 12-inch. Now imagine that wide open blowing into a warehouse at the same time. We look at our statistics, we had 188 service lines, well, 188 calls based on our service requests that were related to water. Another 377. We had 15 line breaks, and we're working on some of those now. I say that as the temperatures warm and as we increase our pressures, we get to see more of where this water is escaping. And it's really helping us, becoming more and more revealed. My team ran through the community over and over again looking at homes, and we had to cut off water without being able to notify a customer because most of our customers are not home. Thankfully, some of them had an opportunity to enjoy their holiday away from this area. Now, not being the only ones impacted, as you can see on the news, quite a few of us as utilities have been impacted, and many of us are still suffering. I'm very glad to say that we're looking at right now how we can remove the boil water notice because our pressures have increased so much. So as the day goes on, you'll see a continual increase and a continual improvement on our behalf. Just to speak technically on some of our pressures, coming from our Noah's Ark station, we are running right now at 94 PSI, that's pressure. Our normal is 120. From the Morrow, we're running at 76. Our normal is 95. From Jonesboro, we're at 70 PSI. Our normal is 90. So that is a tremendous improvement from where we come from Christmas Eve as this thing began to bottom out. And as I said before, our teams have moved throughout this community tirelessly. Many have not slept, me included, based on the stress level of what's going on in our community and how we care about the community. That's what we show. We do have a list on here of some apartments, so you might hear about some of our apartments. We do have about 7 apartments that are out of service. However, that out of service issue is not based on something from our infrastructure. There are some internal problems. There are 2 mobile homes at this moment that are also out of service, but it is also an internal issue. And we're doing what we can to also help them. Speaking to our community, some of those that are homebound, we have a staff and a team that has been deliberately delivering what has been requested. And we've got several of those throughout the community, and we're still doing that right now. We're setting up at our Casey plant, you've probably seen that information, to deliver more and more bottled water. We think that need will pretty significantly decrease today because of now having water pressure. I'm proud to say and see that people are now rejoicing compared to what we've been dealing with in the past few days. So that's just a few statistics. We are still now going throughout, all of our crews are out now looking and turning off water. We have a great partnership with the fire department. I cannot give enough credit to our relationship with Costco. They have been putting us first and forefront when we need to get this bottled water, and they're still doing that right now for us. We called, we reached out to them, and they've been reaching out to me and delivering this water in the needed places that we need it so that we can take care of our community. So I'm very thankful for those partnerships. We could not have done what we've done without it. So this is just it's an attitude is everything. When times are rough like this, we really have to buckle up and get our attitudes in order, do what we can to support each other. It's hard to digest when you have a need like this when it comes to water. And so it does reach and touch our hearts, and we feel the pain. As I say, I live in the community. I've had my own issues as it relates to water. But those things have also improved, and we're thankful for that. Any other updates? Any questions? Okay. Okay, I'll let the CLO.
So clearly, we certainly will get your questions. want to make another acknowledgement of the big guy in the back, that's Ben Hopkins, that's our Director of Building and Maintenance. So I want to make sure we didn't leave anyone out. Again, our primary role here today,
That one other board member, Victoria Williams.
and we have a board member standing in the back, Victoria Williams from the school system. Again, thank you for coming. Again, this is an effort that we're trying to ensure all of our thought partners are being acknowledged, and we're trying to ensure that we provide mediums by which we provide an updates to our community about the status. We recognize that social media platforms are not the only means for which we get information out. We thought it was important that we utilize our TVs and opportunities from a visual standpoint on where we stand on updates within the community. So with that being said, we will certainly open up the floor for a couple of questions. And again, we'll try to ensure that we provide the appropriate person to come back to the microphone to address any questions you may have. So let's start here. Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Chairman, when you spoke earlier, you were very congratulatory about the efforts, but a lot of residents feel differently. How do you respond to those who say, I've been out since the 23rd, I have children or 7 family members living in the same house, using kitty litter to use the bathroom, things like that. You know, how do you respond to that? Because your tone is a little different from the rest of that just spoke.
Yeah, absolutely. So let me say this. On the onset of any disaster or any situation where the citizens are being impacted, number one, we have to know what's going on. We need to know what their needs are. Number two, a lot of times the citizens don't have the information as to what's going on in the background. We're scrambling. We're getting everybody together. We're trying to get resources together to address those citizens in need. But again, it's about communication. That's a two-way street. We need to put out what resources we have, and they need to tell us what they need. And a lot of times those citizens did not communicate that with us. Maybe they didn't know where to go to communicate. So I think we can always do a little better on our part to make sure that we continuously, not only during these type of disasters, but even in times of calm, that we put out the information that if a situation arises, this is where you can go to get help. Because we have numerous resources here in Clayton County. We have numerous organizations, whether nonprofit or for-profit or just county governmental entities, that can help people. We want to help you, but at the same time, if we don't know about it, we really can't help you.
But that's part of the problem, because there are citizens that say they reached out on Facebook, they reached out to those different sources, didn't get a reply. There's also those that went to the water distribution after the water was ran out, and they were saying, what should I do? And they're asking us, because we're still standing out there. And many of the personnel had gone inside. So now I'm standing on the side of the road, people are coming up to me, what can I do? And they have no nowhere to turn. And the phone numbers were overloaded, and I understand you guys had a lot of demand. So that's not, my question is, how do you consolidate saying, oh, we did a great job, when you have these people that are like, what about me?
And I appreciate that, the question, but also think about, and again, you said it best, systems are overloaded. Numerous people were calling. Even though those, and I apologize for anybody who did not get the help that they were seeking. But at the same time, we can't just totally focus on those who didn't get it. Think about those hundreds and thousands of people who did get the proper help and the direction they needed to make sure that they took care of themselves and their families. So we're just trying to do our very best. But from what I see, from my lens, the efforts of the people that are behind me and our staff that's out there on the streets did not get any sleep, didn't have a Christmas with their families. They made that sacrifice for the citizens of Clayton County.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
How many of the 7 apartments, do y'all have the names of those apartment complexes and also the 2 trailer parks?
We do have that. I did not bring that information with me, but we do have that.
Do you know how many people that represents and whether those people can expect some pressure today?
The expectation of pressure has a lot to do, and really mostly everything to do with an internal repair, which is out of our control. We would control the valves to help assist. We're doing what we can with that. The number of folks could average to, it could be upwards of 150 or more. And we understand that pain. And then I want to speak to the Facebook part. We've got folks staffed to answer those Facebooks, and you just imagine how many of those that we receive, and we're working extremely hard. I have a fantastic team let alone behind me, but a part of the CCWA family, we've been addressing those as quickly as we can. It would have been our privilege to bring water out to that home if we were indeed aware of that. Again, we can't express how sorry we are because we know that people have suffered. We know that. And we all recognize that here on the stage, on the platform, but the effort was genuine and extreme. We gave it all we could. In fact, we're seeing the results of that. We saw the results of that day by day. I do want to emphasize that our infrastructure is sound. Our water pipes did not freeze, not Clayton County water pipes infrastructure. It was more so on the side of our customers, commercial or residential. Now, we had line breaks because when it comes to cold temperatures or even warm temperatures, the ground moves and causes the lines to move and break, and mostly on cast iron or even galvanized lines that we're also indeed replacing.
You mentioned earlier that you guys are working to collaborate better, so you can share water services moving forward. What are some of those efforts, or do you guys know yet?
Well, we're currently already have about 5 or 6 interconnections with others. I won't bring them out. In fact, we support other communities right now with our water. We were not able to do that during this time, and then those that we relied upon were not able to help us because they were in dire need. We're looking at other locations where we can do some interconnections because it is one water. It's a unified effort in maintaining these utilities, especially the water utilities, and we're partners beyond what the community sees.
So just to be clear, the boil water advisory is still in effect right now?
Yes, sir, it is.
Okay,
We're checking.
How can residents and businesses ensure that the water is safe? Some residents are saying that it's coming out brown. They're concerned for their health and safety. What are you guys doing to just ensure residents that that's going to happen?
Well, that also goes hand in hand with information. It's hard for somebody to drink brown water and we tell you it's safe, right? So we do have, and this time we're going to lose water by flushing water. And now that we had some empty pipes, we're also going to have air in those lines. And we are responsible for doing testing. So we're testing in every part of our county right now. And if an individual just still doesn't feel safe, we'll come in and test that water. We are certain that very soon we will have this boiled water released.
At the height of this problem, how many customers were impacted, and as of today, how many still don't have water or the water pipe is? And also, can you speak to whatever preventative measures you all took as an authority to try to keep this from happening?
Well, preventative measures goes hand in hand with communication. We do a great job of communicating to our community what they need to do actually on our website to help when this situation was occurring with cold water or cold weather. We talk about allowing your faucets to drip. Now, fire lines is a whole another dynamic. You may have seen some information on the news about that. We would like for our commercial properties to have someone in the building, even during the holiday, because you got to have eyes on it. For us to see it, we have to see it coming out of the building, or looking at meters. So we're always looking for ways to communicate better. This is a lesson learned, I think, for all of us. I think it's a lesson learned for the community as a whole, what we need to do. And dripping faucets is just one key factor of that.
So just to be clear, you're saying that this wasn't a system failure, this was individual properties that had leaks and it put a strain on the system?
Yes, sir. Now, I always say it's a combination. You heard me talk about the line breaks that we've had, right? So that's a combination. I won't blame it on our community. It's a combined issue.
And can you address the number of people impacted at the height of the problem? And
at the height of the problem, it was almost 2,000. You heard me mention the apartments. There are currently ones that are somewhat suffering because the repairs haven't been made. But there are, during this time, like now, we're finding more and more leaks, right? So when we talk about leaks on a customer's line, we're talking about a service line that comes from the meter to the house. So there's probably several of those out there that we don't have an accounting for. We received over 6,000 calls, though, which relate to service line issues.
If a customer's water is coming out of the tap brown, what actions can they take to make that water more attractive, more drinkable, filter? What would you suggest they do?
That's called flushing. We ask them that they flush. They just allow it to run, preferably inside at your largest opening, most times at the bathtub. If that doesn't work, then we have to come out and use a hydrant to flush that whole community.
How long should they let it run?
15 minutes.
Can you describe why the sediment collects to create that groundwater for us?
With any pipe, through the years, there becomes a level of sediment at the bottom of the pipe. That's how it is. So when pressures drop and then they pick back up, they pick that sediment up. and then that travels through the line as a discoloration. More mineral buildup.
Can we shift gears just a little bit? This is directed to the fire department. Yesterday, we saw that apartment complex, townhouse community, residents say it took 20 to 30 minutes because of low pressure. Where are we when it comes to fire hydrants, and can you address just a little bit what we saw yesterday morning?
Yes, I can, and thank you for the question. The reduced levels of water pressure have presented some challenges for the fire service. In addition to the tremendous call volume that Chief Morrison addressed, the additional challenge has been that low pressure has been available in the hydrants, some hydrants, not all. So the biggest step for us is when dealing with low water pressure is us having the ability to know ahead of time what we need to do and have a pre-plan in place. We do have some measures in place to assist us with continuing to meet the community needs. We have placed a temporary ban on all outdoor burning. We will lift that ban once the water authority has confirmed with us that water pressure levels have been returned to normal operating levels. Additionally, in the fire service industry, it's critical that we collaborate with our neighboring departments, and we have remained in close contact with our mutual aid partners, and we have access to additional resources such as tankers that we may need to call upon at any time, and they have been strategically placed throughout the metro area, and they're available upon immediate request, which we did utilize yesterday.
Was this with the Georgia Mutual Aid Group?
Yes. In addition to that, our engines are designed to carry hundreds of gallons of water. So when our firefighters arrive on scene, they do have a tank of water that they can utilize to effect life-saving measures immediately, which they were able to do yesterday. We did have to rescue 3 people from an upstairs window yesterday upon arrival. Thankfully, we had the tank of water to assist us in those rescue measures, and those people are now fine.
Is there any checks going forward with those hydrants? Will you guys go out and check the pressures of those hydrants to see where you guys are at with the levels?
Yes, sir. Every day, we sporadically and randomly check hydrants in different areas to determine what we're dealing with. We remain in contact every day with our neighbors to determine what their level of resources is so that we're prepared.
Are they fine now, the hydrant?
It depends on the area. We're still scouting the areas and working with the water authority to determine where the pressures have increased.
What efforts has the county or the various county agencies made to reach Spanish and Vietnamese speakers in the county?
Is that question directed to Fire and Emergency Services specifically?
Fire and Emergency Services, it could be to everybody.
I'm going to respectfully defer that question to
Bernard. You want me to? Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Well, for the most part, from the Hispanic side of it, we do communicate in Spanish as well. We're having to work on the portion of the Vietnamese speaking community. But everyone is receiving the message when it comes to boil water notice, and mostly everyone has individuals in their home that are checking Facebook and seeing some of our information from the website. So we are steadily improving that as well.